Welcome back. The next job I want to do is put our sleeper cum tie bar in, which is in this position here. Just slide it underneath, that's it. Now you might notice that I'm using rather a large sleeper, a bit oversized, and that is because I'm not sure which side I'm going to operate this turnout from. So I'm just going to put in a nice big sleeper and trim off the side I don't need, and give me plenty of time to space to mess about on the side that I do need. So I'm not going to leave myself short. Okay, so first thing I want to do is centre the sleeper and roundabout level, okay, with one of my pivots. I'm just going to mark it, my sleeper. It's a black mark on a black sleeper, but you can still see it. I'll not mess about showing it to the camera. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a 2mm hole through where I've marked. Okay, get that out of the way. So continuing, I hope you've got as clear a view as this as I can manage to get it right under the camera. So I've drilled my hole in my sleeper there, okay, and I've cut out the template in this area here so that I can work and get round. So what I'm going to do is I'll slide my sleeper in. There he goes, and then I'm just going to lift it up onto the one into the sleeper where I've got it drilled. A little bit finicky this. Just be a little bit of a wrestling match. Come into here. Try and just get him on. I've not oversized the hole. I've just put it at 2mm. So just so it's slightly there he is. Come on, up you go. Up you go, come on. It's getting stuck on the sleeper. How's that happening? Oh no, just got enough clearance there. Come on. Up you go, bit of a wiggle. That's it. Up he goes. Right, okay. So there we are. I've got the sleeper and it's a bit diagonal, but oh well, never mind, what a shame. So what I want to do now, I want to clip this rail right up so I know it's up tight. Yep, okay, so I've clipped that one so it's nice and tight to the turnout rail. Now I want to move my switch rail on the turnout side, okay, the turnout switch rail in to give me a gap twixt, okay, the turnout there. It's just jamming on the sleeper a bit, but I'm not a problem. Now, the flange way gap on gauge or gill fine should be 2mm. On the wrong side of the gauge there, 2 secs. Just put the flange way gap in the middle. Thank you. So that should be 2mm on gauge or gill fine scale. So we want, but the other gauge or dimension that we need on all gauge gill fine scale, it says the flange way entry should be 4mm, so twice as much as the flange way gap at 2mm. Now I think if I put my gauge in, I just hope you can see it. I'm just going to try and slide him in to the flange way gap entry. Okay, can you see that there? Yeah, okay, that's quite a big gap really, that's quite a big gap, so I would say be careful you don't make it any more than that. Yeah, okay, because that is a nice tidy entrance flange, there's no question about that. Okay, so you just need to be careful you don't make it any more than that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to maintain that gap. If you like, I'll put the end of my file in. Okay. Yeah, the end of my file seems to be getting it just about right. If you like, the rail, okay, the end of the point blade, yeah, okay, is just covering those rivets, those bolts on the top of the slide shoot, the ones that we cropped off, but we can still see them. And I would say, as long as you're above 2mm, 2.5mm, let's say, and below 4mm, you'll have a good enough flange way entry at fine scale, okay, because there's a few compromises in gauge or fine scale to allow sort of the finer, coarse scale stock to roll through it. But if you're just doing fine scale, I would imagine at something like 3mm, you'll be very nice. Yeah, okay. And I'm just holding that open with me file, yeah, at a roughly, by my eye, 3mm. I'm just going to check it with my gauge or gild. Again, oh, I'm a little bit more than that. That's it. My file straight up, it's tight on the 4mm. So I'm now going to mark, if I can reach my pen, this is where the bit where you need to be an octopus. Where's my marker pen gone? Where are you, Sharpie? Where'd he go? There he is. Right, so I'm going to mark my sleeper so I can drill it. Just let that fall down a bit. Okay. So I'm going to mark my sleeper so I can do that. I'm just going to get my hands out of the way, hold it open just over those, yeah, I lost it, just over those rivets, those bolts, sorry, on my tie bar. I just want to put a little mark on my sleeper so I can take it off again and drill it. My hand's in the way, but what I've actually done is held my check rail open, okay, got this in, yeah, it's less than 4mm but more than 2mm, and I've marked it. Okay, so I've marked my sleeper there, yeah, just in line with my bolt, my stud on the bottom of my switch rail. Bit complicated, bit messy, and what I would say is it's very easy to sort of mark it up and get it wrong. Yeah, okay, so you know what I would say is don't be sort of losing your patience if you have to have a couple of goes at this to get it right, okay, because you do need to get it right. But you know, if you drill a hole in the wrong place because you're marking and you can see how I'm messing about there and all that sort of thing, you know, don't be disparaged, just get yourself another sleeper, have another go. So here I am, drilled my sleeper, 2 holes in it, where are we, somewhere down here, 2 holes in it where I thought they'd go, okay, and now I'm going to try and fit it. Make sure it's right way up, Rick. Okay, fair enough. So I'll just try this, take this page out, just try this edge first, get a start on there, bring that one across, please come up. Again, a little bit finicky to this, just be patient, don't break anything. What are you doing? Are you coming? Is that one up? That one's going up. Try and press that one through. Come on. That's that one up. That's that one up. There we go. Okay. Right, that's my sleeper in, and that will be then now operating my point blades. Okay, and I'm going to check it. Okay, and it's a lot more than 4mm, a lot more. Okay, so I've drilled it too much. I've got them too close together, the holes, and I just need to relax them because that's a lot more than 4mm, and I don't want that. So like I said, it can be a bit iterative. Okay, and also my sleeper's on a slight angle across that way. Okay, so I'm going to take it out, and what I'll do is I'll re-drill. So let's disassemble it now, please, if you wouldn't mind. There we go. Right, okay. So I reckon that if I stick with this hole here, that hole there is about 1mm too far this way. Okay, so I'm not going to remark, I'm just going to get another sleeper, drill through this hole to give me a hole there, mark through that hole, and then move it 1mm, okay, over to this side. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to start all that faffing about holding point blades and this sort of thing. As I say, I thought there was a good chance I was going to get this wrong. Yeah, I usually have a little bit of a struggle with it. So I'm just going to drill through there, mark through there, and then get another sleeper and drill it with that hole 1mm in this direction. Okay. Okay, so we're back. I've got the sleeper in place and it's cost me one sleeper. Well, it's not cost me a sleeper, that's going to go back in the box and that'll get used. Okay, but I've got my tie bar come sleeper in place and I can now operate my point blades quite nicely. And if I look how much clearance I've got, okay, and I put my O gauge guild in there, I've got a very slack 2mm, okay, or a very slack flange way clearance. But if I go to the other side for the 4mm, the flange way entry, I've got a tight flange way entry. Just touching it as it goes in, it's just a bit tight, and that will do me. Okay, you might have noticed my sleeper's a bit cockeyed as well, but I'm not going to worry about that. And also, I've got a hole left here where I did a wrong drilling. Actually, I had to have a few goes at this, it's a bit messy. But basically, I've got my sleeper come tie bar in, and it's opening as much as I want it to. Okay, and I'm very happy with that. Okay, so that's that job done. I'm going to turn it over and just put the nuts on for now. Okay, so a countersink is one of these things here. It'll just drill a little core into anything you like, any size, as long as you keep pressing down. So just going to stick that in my drill. Where's my holes? One there. Good countersink there. Just go in about, what are we talking about, a mil or so. Okay, and that's countersunk them, and then the nuts will reside more inside the sleeper. Okay, so that's countersinking. Okay, so there's my two nuts in place, tightened up. Okay, and then when I got them tight, I got the croppers and crop them off, clunk, right up to the face of the nut there, and then making sure that they're clear. I didn't want them, they might be quite close to the bottom of the sleeper, but I don't want them snagging on the baseboard or whatever you're laying it on, so make sure that you've got clearance. I'm just rolling my file across to make sure they don't touch. One of them was a little bit high, so all I did, got my big file, okay, and just whipped the top off it. Okay, just to take a little bit off it. Then, okay, next job was super glue. Okay, this is Gorilla Glue, and I put a few drops of Gorilla Glue all over the nut so it ran down the sides and into the thread and wouldn't undo. Okay, because we don't want that undoing when we've got it in position, because you can't get at it. Okay, so we're back right ways up with our template, and there's our switch blades operating nicely. With a little problem that I'd like to allude to at this point that you might find you have between your point blades, and that is loss of gauge. Okay, so if I now just pull it that way, okay, so the switch is now switched to go down the main. Okay, I can see that between the edge of the point blade I'm losing a bit of gauge. Okay, it won't go in at 90 degrees, it's about 5 degrees off. Okay, I'll try the other side. Okay, so it's going up the turnout road now, and again I've got a little bit more loss of gauge. It's perhaps a bit more on that side, a bit more here, maybe about the same. Okay, so I've got a loss of gauge. Now, betwixt these running rails in O gauge fine, you've got 32mm, and that gives you, between the wheel flanges, about 1mm of slop on either side. So, you know, your stock will move in the range of 2mm from side to side in normal running. Now, if we're going straight ahead, okay, and we're not thinking about individual axles here, we're thinking about locomotives with long coupled wheelbases, because they're the problem children. Okay, something that's a bogied carriage or something with a shortish wheelbase, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, but as we run through the main and we go straight ahead, a loss of gauge will not bother us. Okay, it will give us a problem, okay, when we go up the turnout, because the locomotive, if we were talking about an 8 coupled locomotive, needs to use that millimetre either way slack in the gauge to get round the curve to give it the clearance. So a loss of gauge, okay, at your points can start dragging your longer wheelbase rolling stock off, certainly if they're 8 coupled and 10 coupled and that sort of thing. So this might prove to be a little bit of a problem. As regards me here and now, okay, I don't think I've got much of a loss of gauge at all, and I wouldn't normally do this, but what you can do is something called putting a joggle in the rail, okay, and that is to say what we're going to do is we're going to deflect this rail slightly farther in, okay, so the turnout rail tucks behind the gauge here, just by putting a deflection. I'm exaggerating it here. I'm going to deflect the rail that way, but only slightly, because remember we're only talking about, don't think we're talking about half a mil, okay, so I'm going to put a joggle in, yeah, okay, and I'm going to show you how you just put a joggle. You can actually, yeah, okay, you can do this once the piece of track is in place. So on that straight section there, just immediately before, I'm going to grab that with my long nose pliers, okay, and then the straight section immediately in front of it, I'm going to grab that with my other pliers, yeah, okay, so there's my other pliers in place, there's my long nose pliers in place, yeah, okay. Now my pliers here at the very end, I'm going to get a sharp grip on the rail as tight as I can, bring my long noses in behind them, and just before the point blade I'm going to put a twist, that way of deflection, in my stock rail. Just twist it. Not want much, a bit more than that please. Okay, what have we got? Have we got a joggle there? No, that's not coming. Let's try again. Have we got a joggle there? I think we've got a very slight joggle. In there. Let's bring that in so you can see it. Yeah, okay, there's my joggle on this side. Yeah, I've just deflected the rail in a little bit. Let's get the track gauges, see if we've improved things. Oh, just about. Just slightly tight on the gauge. So I'm going to have another little crack at it. I don't need to bring it back in. You don't need to bring it back in. Okay, just joggle it out again. Oops, make sure I've not got the point blade, I'm not touching the point blade. And there's my joggle again. Let's try again. What have we got now? Just won't quite go in. Just won't quite go in. I'm just stretching the chairs a little bit. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to glue them and release them. Just stretching the chairs a little bit. Just try again. Okay, right. I think you might even see it now. The joggle I've put in. Oh, let's get it on the camera. I don't know if you can see. Just deflecting away that rail there. Just deflecting away. Right. Try my track gauge in. Okay, yeah, it goes in. Bit tight, but we've dealt with the problem. Okay, so we've now got gauge back between there. Okay, right, so that's just putting a joggle in. Yeah, if you want to. I've roughed up my rail there with the pliers, but I'll get a file on that and just, oops, that's obviously, yeah, I've roughed up the rail a bit there with the pliers, but I'll just get a file and just dress that off in a minute. Okay, no problem. I've no doubt you know how to do that. So there we have it, nicely gauged through the point blades, yeah, by putting a joggle. I've not joggled it back in because I don't need to. I'll just check my gauge just further up, make sure we've not done anything bad. No, and indeed we haven't. Okay, we're just maintaining our gauge through the turnout. Like I say, in the straight on it's a bit tight, but we have got gauge right the way through the turnout. Okay, and it is important because I made this turnout as an A6 because I wanted a turnout, okay, with a minimum radius of 72 inches in as small a space as I could get. Okay, so I want to keep gauge through the turnout. And like I say, the tighter that you make your radiuses. I don't go under 6 foot unless I have to. The tighter you make your radiuses, then the more important it is keeping the gauge at 32mm and keeping it open. Okay. Yeah, the one thing I want to do before we move on is to make sure what we've done is right. Okay, a little proof of that, so we'll have a little test with the old stove hour again, and that goes nicely through the switch blades of our turnout. I'll try it down the main, shouldn't be a problem down the main, it's going straight ahead, fine. There we go down the main, fantastic, no problems. Okay, after we put the joggle in the stock rail. Don't forget, we're making the turnout road bigger by joggling, but we're putting the joggle in the stock rail, not the turnout rail. There we go. Thank you, marvellous. So the next job we have is to make, I'll just zoom out a touch there. The next job we have is to make our check rails that on our template are described here and here. Okay, so what we want to do is get our ruler. How much rail do we need for each check rail? I know there's a little bit of a flare on the end of it, but I'm going to say that is just a shade over 92mm, and they should be both the same length. Okay, yeah, and indeed they are 92mm. So I want 92mm, and I'm going to achieve that with this length of rail here. I'm going to cut two sections 92mm, or where I'm concerned and sewing, thereabouts. Hi, I'm back again. While I'm making up the check rails, I just wanted to show you, if you've got a track gauge, a little wheeze for helping you make your check rails, getting the flares on the end of them the same and matching each other, which always looks nice. I'm using the 1 in 8 crossing V line here. There's the centre line, there's my 1 in 8, and I've marked across it a line with my marker just about 9mm in, which is the durable pliers that I used before when we were making the ring rails, and I've just slide it in to the slot, put the end of the rail up to the line, and using my thumb, yeah, okay, if your thumbs are a bit weak, you've not got a great deal of strength in your fingers, you might use a pair of pliers, just bend it round so that you can sight, just a minute, let me get this right so I can put it like that for you, there we go. So you can sight and get your rail parallel with this line here. So, you know, it's a bit of a nice guide to get them right first time, if you like, he says. Yeah, so I can sight up there now, and I can see that rail is in line with that slot. Just sighting it up, nice and easy, and I'll do the other side, do the other end. Yeah, in the jaw, up to my mark, just use my pointer, put my rail in, up to my mark, and then just up to my mark, there she is. Then hold it down and I just and sight it so that this line here, so you can see, this line here coming up is parallel with that one there. And I've stood at the back of it looking down it, using my eye to make sure, so I get a nice, even check rails. Just thought I'd show you that, if you've got a gauge. So here we are, I'm fitting the check rail in the main road, and as I push it up against the stock rail, it won't snuggle down to it, it won't fit in. And that is because, just like on the slide chairs, the bolt heads, okay, on the top of the chairs, both what I've slid onto the check rail and what I've already fitted, okay, are stuck up proud. So, like we did on the slide chair, just go on and just get my knife in and whip them off. Just whip them off. Job done. And on this one, just whip the bolt heads off with your knife. And again, whip the bolt heads off. Thank you. And then on the chairs that I'm fitting, or the chairs that I'm fitting here. Okay, the bolt heads on the inside again. Just going to whip them off with my knife. Just knock the top of the heads off, and then we should get a fit. Let's have a see how we've gone on. Bring this back into play. Where are we? Go the right way around. Wedges on the inside. Get my chairs in place, that's it, right. So I get it right up to the rail now. Okay, so that's nice. And then fitting it. Just going to get my check rail gauges. Put them in place. A bit tight on that gauge, just make sure I've got my check rail in position over the template where I want it. Put gauge there. And this is my one with a flat on again, comes in useful when we're working around that V crossing nose. Just find the flat, get it into the check rail, that's it. Okay, let's move it up a bit. It's right where I'm going to glue. That'll be alright there. Okay, so I can just move my chairs now into the correct position and glue them in. Okay, so I've got two full chairs on my check rail and my ends but nice and similar all over the place, which is nice and neat. Okay, so glue brush and glue and drench them again into position. Okay, plenty on. Thank you very much. Okay, light pressure, count to 20 at some point, and that'll glue them in place. So what I'll do now is I'll fit the other check rail, and I'll also complete using the half chairs like we've done in other situations to supplement the chairs we've missed out and where we've used a full chair and that sort of thing. Yeah, so I'm just going to chop some chairs up now, finish off fitting this, and then I'll fit the one on the other side exactly the same way I've done this one. Okay, all stuff you've done before. So here we are, I've just finished fitting that check rail in the turnout road there, just glued it all down, put my half chairs on where I can't get a full chair. Okay, put wedges and everything. And the other thing I did, I'll just remove these gauges, a job that's been hanging over me to do for a bit, and that is I've just put chairs just on the inside of the wing rail where it bends. I never put any on. So I've just using the remnants of the chairs that I cut up for my check rails, just bob two in there. My next job I'm going to do now is put my insulated fish plates in the locations here, just at the end of the wing rails. Okay, so I'm just going to glue them on, bit of super glue, make sure I've got a gap. Okay, I'll be doing that next. I'm not going to film it because it's just a bit of simple. So that's our fish plates, our plastic fish plates glued into position here. Okay, at the bottom of the wing rails where they meet the closure rails. Didn't want to film that because it's just a faff super gluing them on. So they're now super glued in. One thing I didn't mention, this check rail here, yeah, okay, because we're, I didn't put a curve in it, because remember I said about this portion of the wing rail here and here being straight and too short to curve. Well, you end up with that portion of track there being straight, so your check rail's straight, so that's just the way it works out. Okay, so that's the top of all our turnout done. Okay, I'll just focus out now. Boom, 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 boom. Zoom out, focus out, zoom out. Got it, wait a minute. Okay, so you can see our finished work piece in all its glory. There it is. Okay, so that's it done. And what we're going to do next, oh, I've not put plastic fish plates here, insulated ones, because I'll probably do that when I fit it. Yeah, okay, when I'm joining the track up, I'll use plastic fish plates there. because we want to keep that insulated. That's it. As regards the top end, what we're going to do next is flick it over and do a bit of soldering to strengthen it up to make sure everything stays in place. Okay, so I've got my template turned upside down, and what I did is I just put my knife through my template here while it was still right ways up, because I want to take this part of the template out. Cut right through there. Get rid of that bit. Come on. There you come. Excuse me. Take that bit off to reveal what's underneath. Okay, which is the very end of our crossing V wing rails and that portion of the crossing V that's there. I also want to just reveal what's on the sleeper next to it. Where are we? There it is. Near our crossing nose. Yeah, I want to reveal that bit. Okay. I also want to reveal a portion between the stock rail and the closure rail, okay, on either side. So I think I'll take this bit out here. I don't want anywhere near where we put cosmetic fish plates on, because I don't want to risk unsoldering them, so I'm going to sort of stay up here. I'll take this portion out. Come on, wherever you are. Lovely. Please, lovely, thank you. Okay, and then I'm also going to take out a portion that is in the centre of the check rails. Take the whole lot out. Doesn't matter. There we go. Thank you, get rid of that. And get rid of that. Now, what I want to do here is two jobs, and that is to strengthen up the rails between the stock and the main, and also just under the back of the V crossing to keep the ring rails and the V and the crossing V in line with each other. So I want to solder them up together. The risk I've got in doing that is that I may unsolder the crossing nose, okay, so because if we start unsoldering that at this time, then we would have something of a disaster on our hands. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a precaution now, and I'm going to use what we call a heat sink. Where do you buy them? Well, I'll show you. So this is my heat sink, and what I'm going to do is right on the crossing nose, as far up as I can get, it's a pair of forceps. Get these from Modeller's Supplies, not medical supplies, pair of forceps, and I'm going to tuck them in, okay, just there, and clamp the crossing nose together. Just get them in as far up the sleeper as I can get. Ka-ching. Thank you very much. That, if the heat does get to our crossing nose, that'll keep it together, but it'll also act as a heat sink to take the heat away when we're soldering from our crossing nose. Does two jobs instead of one. Now, to join it all together, I'll usually use this stuff, which is scrap etch from kits I've used, okay? I can just solder it in position. But I realise you may not be building brass kits, so we can't use scrap etch. Then I was thinking about using brass rod, but of course, you know, brass rod, why go and buy that? So I thought, what can we use? And I came up with mains cable. What we can do is, we can go down the hardware shop, like I've just done, and buy a metre of mains cable, okay, but it's the stuff they use on the ring main, okay, not for wiring plugs up, it's the heavy duty stuff. I'll just run my knife down it to split it apart, get my pliers on it, come on, let's be having it, okay, thank you very much, and inside there we find the earth core, carries the earth, because the live and the neutral have insulation around them, and that might come in for another day. And all I'm going to do is strip the earth out of it, okay, to give us some copper wire to work with. I'm not saying it's very high grade copper, certainly not, but it gives us some wire, copper wire, okay, like so, copper wire that we can use to piece our turnout together with, okay, with solder. And doing that we can make it a bit more substantial structurally, and also make it conduct electricity where we want it around the place. Okay, so I'm going to make up some little bridging pieces and I'll be back in a second. So once again I've made an error. I've soldered these bridging pieces in, and I was thinking the camera was turned on and recording, and indeed it wasn't, so I've done it without you, unfortunately. But I can still show you what I've done. I've taken a piece of wire and bent it to an L, like that, yeah, okay, and then I've laid it in, got my soldering iron hot, cleaned it all up, and then laid it in there, okay, and zoomp, 1, 2, and out, okay, no longer than 2 seconds in there with the soldering iron, make sure it's hot, yeah, zoomp, solder that, solder the outer wing rail, and then one last time, bzz, just on one leg, solder one leg of the V crossing, because once you've got one part of the V crossing, sorry, the crossing V, you've got it all, and that joins this section up electrically. And then all I've done then is got my cutters, okay, in there and trimmed it off, okay, either side with my cutters. Yeah, okay, so that's that soldering. Do not linger with the soldering iron. You know, as soon as you touch it with your soldering iron, count to 2 in your head, and if it's not soldered by 2, come out. It will be. You put plenty of solder on the end of your iron, you just warming them up instantaneously, and bosh, on it goes. Right, next piece, okay, which is this piece where the very nose of the crossing V requires supporting. Again, same technique, just bent it to an L, so I could hold it in, not on my bare fingers of course, yeah, okay, not my bare fingers, and then again, not touching the crossing V this time, because you're directly under the bit you've soldered, and you could easily unsolder it, which I say would be a disaster at this time. I've touched, solder onto the wing rail again, 1, 2, and then come across, 1, 2 on with the soldering iron, and solder this bar across. So it doesn't hold the wing rail, it doesn't hold the crossing V, but it does support it, because all the pressure is going to be downwards. We don't need to solder it to it, as long as we've got something underneath it holding it up. So that's that bit done. Sorry, I messed up, didn't put the camera on, my apologies. Just remove my heat sink, and then you can see it in a bit more detail. Solder it on, then just crop it off at the ends. Right, we'll do the bridges and the other parts next, okay, like in this area. So what I'm going to do now is solder up underneath the check rails to ensure that they don't move backwards and forwards, because they've only got a few chairs around them, and they can be inclined to move about a bit because of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to solder a little bar across from the turnout rail to the turnout rail check rail, okay, and just made an L piece like that, okay, and I'm just going to solder it in. You know the drill on soldering, okay. We're going to clean it up, a bit nearer to the camera, concentrate on this piece. I'm going to clean it up, okay. I'm going to clean a bit of wire up that I'm using. I put a handle on it because it just makes things easier instead of getting down there with long nose pliers and all that and this and the other. Okay, so next job is to flux it. Where's my flux brush go? There it is. Okay. So I'm going to flux it Okay, there's my wire and everything. I'll just leave that hanging there. Get my iron, make sure it's nice and hot. Melt a nice big lump of solder on the end of it. Yeah, this iron's hot. Because we know it does get hot. Okay, let's pick this up. Where have it? So you can see. Yeah, okay, so I'm in there now. Oh, wrong one. So you can see. Okay, and I'm in there now with the iron. Loads of solder on the tip, I don't care. Just run it across. Haha, bit my fingers then. Clever. Try again. Okay. So just try again, just going to touch it. I've got solder on my rod and everywhere else. Just going to touch it too. Just to melt the solder so it grips. Still a bit of flux left on it. Okay, we got a grip there. Yep, that's all soldered up nicely. And then all I'm going to do then, switch off my iron. Okay, and just cut that, get my cutters in there. Get in, cut that off, and nobody will know that's there. Trim that off, and that's what I did. Okay, what I did over here, the very same thing, but I kept that heat sink on the crossing V, so it's not to solder it. No dangerous soldering anything there. Okay, so no problem. Right, further down, self-same job again. Okay, we're going to solder the closure rail and switch rail as it is. It's all one piece. It's got electrical conductivity right the way around its length because it's unbroken. And we're going to solder that again to the turnout rail on the turnout side, so that everything on this side is one polarity, everything on that side is another polarity. Okay, so same job again. So I'm going to solder this bridging piece in here, which will take current from our turnout rail to the switch rail come closure rail. What I've done, I've shaped it like that, okay, made it like a little bridge, because if we just tie it between the two rails in a straight line, you'll be able to see it, it'll stand out like a sore thumb. Like I say, you know, if we can get it to look better our track, then we should do. So what I'm going to do is just solder it in like that, okay, so that it's just this bridging piece sits below the level of the sleeper. I just might have to angle it across a bit, but as long as I just get a little start on it with a soldering iron, I'm not bothered. So same again, soldering again. Let's plug the iron in, that can warm up while we're waiting here. So you can see, that's it, okay, in the middle, get it towards me, there you go. So as you can see, clean the rail up, thank you. Okay, and then the bridging piece that we're going to use, clean that up, because if it's not shiny, you ain't going to solder, always clean it. Everything nice and clean. Okay. Make sure it's all nice and clean. Get my fluxing brush. Okay. And nobody's going to see this soldering that you do, so don't get too hung up about it. So this will sort of keep the two rails in relation with each other and also provide the electrical circuit that we want. Two jobs in one. Okay, so let's see what my iron's like. There's my solder. What's the temperature yet? Yeah, okay. Not messing about, put plenty of solder on your iron. Okay, all you're trying to achieve is a mechanical joint. Yeah. So let's got that. Okay, a bit more solder on the iron. We'll still play with it actually, but never mind. Let's not play about it. And then again. Okay, so we got that? Yeah, we got that. So, switch the iron off, get the cutters, and just cut off our end. If we can. There it is. Did we get that? No, we need a quick look in there, I think. Just going to have another little touch with that. Just going to drip a bit more solder in there to make sure. Not quite happy with that one. Now I can see a constant bridge of solder between the copper wire and the rail, so we're all good there. I'll just get some long nose pliers, see if I can pull him off. No, we're alright, we're all good there. So that's our bridging, and I will do the self same thing, okay, the other side of the turnout to bridge the rails here, okay, adjacent to where we've just done, okay, and again, bring it into picture, and again here on the other side to bring the check rails together, okay, and to make sure they stay in place. What I would say, before you flip your template over, and perhaps while you solder it as well, make sure you don't slide it and move a check rail or anything out of position, because they're not held in tight. This is the idea of holding them in tight now. So what we're doing here, to make sure they can't move in relation to one another. So just have a check over and make sure everything's where you want it to be. Okay, that finishes that up. So welcome back, all finished. The complete item now, virtually ready to fit. I just wanted to make a couple of points about finishing off. The first is the template itself, the nice big white piece of paper that we've got. If you can live with that and lay it on top of it, because you're going to ballast over and disguise it, all well and good. You might trim it down a bit with your scissors. All great and good. However, some people like to get rid of the template completely. Now, to do this, do not try and unpick it or unstick it from the sleepers, because what's happened is you'll just start to tear the sleepers off one by one. What you'll have to do, if you want to do that, is cut individually round the sleepers, okay, so that you're just left with a bit of paper on the bottom of your sleepers. You're going to have to cut it away. Do not try and rip it away, because you'll start to pull the sleepers away one by one. Collectively they're quite strong, but individually we know they're a little bit weak. The other thing I would say, if you're going to do that, is you might like to put a bit of super glue on some of your chairs, not all, perhaps about 1 in 3, a dab of super glue to bond the chair to the rail to stop any movement there between chair and rail. So, you know, I would do that on both sides and round your closure rails and on your crossing V. You know, but a dab of super glue if you want to do that. It doesn't need much, just like I say, you know, a lot of little dabs will make it strong enough. So that's that on that. Regards pinning them down on the baseboard, I think you saw this on the video when we were constructing it. It's a little bit weak in this area here. It's got a little bit of headache. These can move, these rails. So I would certainly pin down at least 2 of these first 3 sleepers, pin a pair of those down, and then the sleepers again after the tie bar. Of the 3 of those sleepers, I would pin 2 of those down also, just to stiffen the throat up. And then after that, if you're pinning down, I don't know, every 5th, 6th sleeper, no problem. And then, you know, a few pins around the turnout area here, just to hold it down. But this is the area you need to concentrate on in pinning down. If you're gluing it down, you're going to glue every sleeper, I take it, so no problem there. Okay, so that's about fitting. Now, the other thing I wanted to come on to is the driving of the tie bars. When we get a picot point, in this area here there's a little cover and it disguises an over centre spring, so that what you do is you have a relay that smacks the point blades across, and that then it's the over centre spring that keeps the point blade in contact with the stock rail where the power is, and that then sends it the power up and powers up the frog. And so when you turn it the other way, the point blade connects with the rail and it sends it polarity that way. That's how the picot works. Ours is completely isolated. We're not reliant on this section to power it up. You'll need a separate micro switch in the point motor, which I'll talk about in a second, or whatever it be, to power up the frog, or the frog area, okay, to change your polarity. Right, so like I say, we can't use a relay because we've not got over centre spring. We need a motor or a stall motor that will push it across, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about there. So what you want to operate your turnout is one of these. This is called a tortoise motor, okay, and the other makes, I believe, are there's a Fulgrex make one and Cobalt. I think they're the main three. There might be others, and of course you can positively drive them using servos. I don't know anything about servos. I use tortoise because that's what suits me. And basically all it is, I'll show this from above. You'd have your tortoise motor probably mounted under your baseboard. I've just drilled a little hole, 1mm, in the tie bar, or a sleeper come tie bar, and that just drives it across like so. Yeah, okay, and just drives it back and forth as it does there. Yep, okay, so that's all it does. This bit of spring steel that they use to operate, that's a bit thin. I think it's 0.5 and you see people going up and buying 0.75 and even 1mm spring steel, because this stuff just flexes a bit too much. It's too soft to provide a good positive drive. So that's the drive motor for the turnouts, and you've got your terminals here on the top. And just bring them, there's 8 terminals. These out to 2 drive it, and you change the polarity of them with a switch, depending on which way you want to go. And then you've got your ones for your micro switches that change the polarity here. Okay, they're all the same, no matter what brand you buy, they've got these facilities. And if you buy them, they come with a good deal of literature. Okay, you can wire them up easily, they're dead easy to do. So that brings proceedings to an end. If you've come along with me on the video and you've completed your first turnout, there's nothing that you'll do in building any other type of turnout, whether it be a tandem turnout, or 3-way as they call them, or a double slip, single slip, diamond crossing, scissor crossings, anything that you'll not do anything different in building them than what you've done here. Everything that you need to do, okay, to build any future track formation, you've done it and you've covered it here. All it is, there's a little bit, you know, depending on what you make, there's a bit more of it. You might have to think a little bit more deeply about how you're going to attack the job, you know, but certainly if you've done this turnout, then, you know, great. Move on to something a bit more complicated, a bit more challenging for yourself, you know, and you'll find all those items in Templot. And again, I've been banging on about Templot right the way through this video. I don't intend to stop. If you wanted a double slip or a single slip or a tandem turnout, you know, whether it be a tandem turnout left and right or a tandem turnout both turnouts on the right, it was a bit complicated, but now they've upgraded the tools in Templot, and you start with a basic template, say a B8, and you basically press a button and it turns it into a tandem turnout. Same with a double slip, single slip, whatever you want. You know, the actual producing a template has become a lot more easier, because it's basically, you don't have to transfer and move stuff around. You just press a button and the software goes off and does it for you, and you end up with basically what you want in front of you. Okay, so that's the end of the video, and hope you've enjoyed it. A new challenge for me making the video. but now as we end the video, it's time for tea, and that's what I'm going to do. Cheers.